my name in there, but
Well, there we go. We just started it, so we'll see what happens. And we'll give it a minute, but I think we got everybody from our side, right? Yeah,
yeah.
looks like we
So
got Al. All right, I gotta Al. If you have the spreadsheet up, you can run the order, I suppose, because I'm not looking at it. I know which ones I'm talking about, but I don't remember the order. But
Oh,
I don't know. We won't do any official kickoff here because it's just a bunch of us, talking to each other. But let's see. So, welcome to our first, I guess, community Lego showcase collection. Blah 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 on Super Bowl Sunday before we all start drinking heavily. Um, so
I
we brought
can't
to
drink heavily today.
what?
I'm
What's
working
that?
today. I'm
Oh,
working
you're
today.
working. Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
I'm supporting a customer doing something during Super Bowl.
Well, we're not, but
Yeah,
we're sorry for you, Matt.
drink for me.
But so we figured we had a lot of like people asking about different people's collections, and we decided to throw this together. And thanks to Al for actually kind of starting the idea. But we were going to basically for the next hour or so, hour or two, just go through a couple builds that each person highlighted, talk about their collections, but talk more about where we have some commonalities. And I think a couple of the builds we all have, which will be some interesting conversation around what we saw differently with it. But quickly, let's go around the horn. So I'll start. Chris Colati, V expert, work for Cohesity. Al, you're next on the screen for me, so I'll just call people out.
sounds good. Al Rashid, the expert, and I currently work for ThinkOn.
Joe,
yeah, hey, Joe Graziano, also vExpert and vExpert Pro. I work for VMware as an SE.
Doug,
Hey everybody, Doug DeFrank here. I am a technical account manager with VMware.
Matt,
Matt Ragnell, the expert as well. I am a senior technical account manager for AWS.
Sean,
Hey, Sean Tulane, the expert as well for many years, and I am a senior core SE for Dell.
and JD.
Hey everybody, I'm JD. I do lots of fun work stuff, but for the context of today, I am a collector of hobbies, and the one hobby I get to talk about today is Lego, which is great.
So actually, you and Sean came with the Lego shirts, so props to you guys. I think you did, right? Looks like you have one on here.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the old school space kits. So yeah.
Yeah, we may even talk about that because
Love it.
we brought that up on the pre-call. So you'll notice a couple of people are dialed in twice, but I think that's just because of their camera setups and things like that. But I think we Matt was going to go first, right? Al, if I'm not mistaken, I remember that from the sheet. So
Yep.
Matt, take it
Seven.
away. We'll actually spotlight you so that we can see your collection. Let me, where is that? There we go, spotlight.
Okay, so let me pick up my camera and slide it over here, be a little bit more precise because of course Zoom is not letting me actually zoom in on the collection. Some of the recent acquisitions, some of the things I've worked on recently. I'm going to start down with this guy here down on the floor. Unframe. Just finished that. It is the Lego minifigure puzzle. So if you don't have that yet, I would highly recommend it. So the two kits I really wanted to focus on today are the Infinity Gauntlet and the Bonsai. The Infinity Gauntlet, well, let's start with the Bonsai tree. The Bonsai tree has a really big meaning to me because I used to have a very large actual tree live collection of bonsai. At one point, I had 20 trees. And so when Lego came out and released their nature set with the flowers and other things like that, I saw the bonsai in there and I'm like, that's an immediate buy. And it was. And it's a really interesting and challenging kit. And you can't really see, unless I zoom in here. And until we were about halfway through the build, my wife and I, we realized those are frogs. There are a ton of little frogs sitting on the tree. And it was just really, really interesting to have that on there as something about the symbology of them being lucky in the culture. And the other really interesting piece about this one is, and I don't have them on here right now, the leaves. You have two options. You have the white leaves and you have green leaves. So every spring, we put the white ones on. And then midsummer, we'll switch them back over and turn them back to the regular green leaf, kind of like you see on the food stuff back in the background. So we try to adjust that seasonally. And it makes for a really interesting display. And since I don't actually have the live trees anymore, it's a fun little way to kind of keep up that hobby.
Hey Matt, how long does it take to switch the leaves around?
About a half an hour, because all of those leaves come off, all the little flowers come off, and there are also green frogs that go on there. So it's a bit of an effort, but it's kind of worth it. So the other kit we're talking about today. Oh, the other really fun thing about this, the bonsai, the first kit that my wife and I put together. So, and it's become a bit of a fun thing for both. The other one I want to show today is the Infinity God. This is a really challenging kit for me for a couple of reasons. It is the most complex kit I think I've ever put together in terms of not necessarily the number of pieces, but it's probably as close to a Technics kit as I've built, because all of these fingers move. Each knuckle moves, the thumb up and down. And yes, you can be rude and do the thing, but
I posted that picture. I posted the picture of that on Twitter when I built it, because I kind of had to.
Yeah, you got to be that guy. It's got all the gems on here. This one,
There's so many different ways that you can articulate that hand there. I mean, besides, you can do it as the snap, you can do it as, a vulgar gesture, you can do it as the rocker. It's so versatile.
You can make almost a full fist out of it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how well you can see the shiny bits, but right through here, right along here, a little bit up in here, you can see that the pieces have extra glow in them. The challenging element out of that is there are very similar pieces of these curves and things like that aren't extra glowy golden. And I didn't realize that there were two different colors because I'm partially colorblind. And until my wife pointed it out in the build manual, that the glowy, the extra gold pieces have a wave through them in the build manual, I didn't realize I was using some of the wrong pieces, the glowing versus the non-glowing gold bits. So I had to rip down parts of the build that had already been put together and I thought were done. But put them all back together, having identified which ones were the actual golden bits versus the normal non-shiny gold.
Right, you're actually making me go look at the manual right now, because I don't even know that I consciously noticed it. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, I figured it out when I started putting in the wrong pieces, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, I don't have that piece in this color. And then I realized, I've been using the wrong color the entire time. I thought I had this was like a rare set that I had missing pieces on.
Yeah.
Well, it's two things. It almost looks like it has a wood grain to it. That's the wavy part you're talking about. And then it has I'm actually gonna take a screenshot. And it actually has a little star on the top of it, which I don't even know that I noticed that.
I didn't notice the little star.
I'll post a link to it, but yeah, it's actually It's both.
Yeah, it was, and this is something that I yell at about accessibility. VMware loves me because of that. But if it doesn't have that clear delineation, I have a very challenging time seeing it. And so this is a really
and they do
fun,
different
challenging
things to delineate shiny
Mhm.
pieces. So for this, they had the star. The silver stuff, they actually just kind of highlight in like a whitish halo effect almost, or like a glow effect to delineate that it's a silver shiny piece. So they don't even could do a consistent thing in denoting that it's shiny between the different colors.
And I apologize for the chuckle earlier when he was going on about the color blindness and telling VMware. I sat in on some of those sessions. Matt and I used to work together previously, and I sat in on some of those sessions before where he was talking about accessibility to VMware, and so I'm hearing those conversations that we had previously. I meant no disrespect or wasn't trying to be rude there, but
it's a hilarious story, and one of my very good friends at VMware now is because of he was a PM for one of your products, and he's giving a demonstration on the latest and greatest new version. And I, halfway through his presentation, I'm like, "Thank you. Your product is now worthless to me." And his face went white. And so it was a good time. So yeah. So that's the Infinity Gauntlet. It's got all the stones on there. I love the fingers. I love that they are knuckle by knuckle, fully articulated. So
that one's on my list if I start doing light kits, because the light kit for that, you actually replace the LEDs go under the stones, so it actually lights up the stones. So that one actually, the light kit for it looks pretty cool, but it is on my list for when I eventually start light kits.
Did not realize there's a light kit. I'm going to be going ordering that right after I'm done presenting.
The ones I've found, so just we can talk about them later, but the Light My Bricks website seems to have the best instructions for how to disassemble and add the LEDs. Like they have the most detailed instructions that I've seen of any of the light kits.
I have the light kit for the Falcon, and once I actually start the Falcon, I've already got the light kit ready to go in there, and I submitted a request to have them create a light kit for the NES, and I got back a response saying, "That's a really good idea. We're going to get our engineers working on that." So so I'm a big fan of Light My Brick. The pieces, if you don't have a lighted magnifying glass, you're going to have a bad time. Get one.
Good to know.
You can actually assemble the kits and get them installed properly, because they are micro LEDs.
Yeah, and I'm old and wear bifocals, so I probably would need the magnifying glass.
Hey, Matt, I'm curious about the gems. I've not actually seen this set up close. Are those just standard brick shapes, or are those like stone shaped bricks?
So they are standard. Let me pop one of these guys out here real quick. So this one is 2 pieces. You can see the regular diagonal, and I apologize, it's not the greatest, but you can see the regular diagonal that pops up, and the other is just a 2-piece red square.
Yeah, it looks like a 1x2 plate, a 1x1 plate, and then a cheese wedge.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually the cheese wedge in a brick. We call them slippers. It's because it's 1 piece. It looks like a little slipper.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually 2 pieces, but yeah. And the other gems are similar, where like this one here is a little pyramid versus the cheese wedge. This one is just 2 1x2 stacked together. Another pyramid, a little light piece. So each one is different, but they're all standard pieces.
Yeah, I actually like that they made them different, because in the Marvel movies, the stones were not the same shape. the actual Infinity Stones were actually different shapes. They weren't just all round or all oval, if I recall.
So I was tempted but didn't. I have in my comic collection, I have the original run of the Infinity War series. And so when this came out, it was an instant buy because I was such a big fan of it. And really, really amused because in the original Thor, if you're watching very closely, you can see the Infinity Gauntlet and the armor. And when they're breaking in to get
Oh yeah, you're right. It's in the background. They walk past it, right? In the hall. Yep. You're absolutely right. I remember that scene now. When they were going to look at the Tesseract. The Tesseract's in the middle of the room, and they actually walk past it.
Yeah.
But that's a fake. Because in the Thor movie, she knocks it over and says it's a fake.
Right.
But nobody knew that at the time, and then they go, then they forge a new one.
Yeah. And
anyway, we could have a whole different conversation.
Yeah, we're not talking about Thor.
We could go down. We could go diverge too far. Okay.
I'm going to switch over to somebody else, but
who is up after Matt? Al?
That would be Mr. Doug. Yep, correct.
Yeah, I think it's me. All right, guys.
All right. Let me see if I can figure out how to do the spotlight then. Replace spotlight. Look at that. Cool. Hey, I know how to work Zoom.
Yep, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
So yeah, so we're kind of learning as we go, but I'm going to try to flip the cameras around as we get to the sets. But so I'm hoping to show 3 today. As you can tell, those that have seen my background before, I'm a huge fan of the Ghostbuster series. So I have the Ghostbuster Firehouse headquarters, the Afterlife Ecto one, as well as a smaller Ecto one that I'll show just briefly. And then I also have a Ford Mustang kit that I had received for a birthday last year. And so just kind of wanted to show that one off a little bit just because of some of the things that they put into it that I had never realized just looking at the box and the packaging scene in the store. So flipping over for a second here, you can see this one is the Ecto Firehouse or the Ghostbuster Firehouse. And this actually is built on 1.5 base plates. There goes the library and Ghost. So this is actually built on 1.5 base plates in depth. So it is pretty big and pretty sizable. And this, from what I understand, when they had the original, this Ecto car had come out first, and they kind of scaled the house around the size of this car specifically so that it could fit in this garage bay. Comes with a number of minifigs. You get obviously the 4 main characters, the Ghostbusters. You get the library and Ghost, Dana, Louis Tully, the taxi cab driver. The pink Ghost is not, or the blue Ghost aren't anything specific. You get Slimer over here. He's got a sausage or a hot dog in his hand. The front doors do open and close. I can't really get to them now because the building is shut. And what I liked about this too is there is so much detail in this from a fan of the franchise series. So you see the building on the side, you get some fire escapes and other things. The other side is, as you would see it from the street corner in New York, you got the side entrance and I guess an air handler, an air conditioning unit and window and some other things. But what's really cool is if we come back to this side with the fire escapes, this actually opens. And inside you can see a lot of the detail that was put in here around the staircase. The containment unit, I believe, is on the wrong floor. I think technically it's in the basement, but there's no basement. So they put it here. But you got Venkman's desk, Janine's desk in the front. The doors, again, that open for Ecto to come in. On the bottom here, you have the 3 lockers for the 3 original 3 prior to Winston joining. But then it incorporates, it encompasses scenes from both films. So like in the main floor, you've got kind of their eating area. There's a fridge, there's all kind of little accessories, kitchen, coffee maker. Upstairs is the science or Egon's lab with all kind of lab equipment. There's a photo of the terror dog on the computer screen right in here, right in there. There's the pool table. And then there's the sleeping quarters in the front here with the beds. And then up here is the photo lab from the second movie where they're developing photos and the photos are hanging on the wire and they suddenly catch fire and all of a sudden, oh no, they're trapped in the room and can't get out. The fire extinguisher being on the outside of that room. I thought that was an interesting little touch. It fell moving it, but there's this little flame that goes in the developer area to show that there's a fire in the room. My son asked an interesting question, which it's kind of, embarrassing, but for the point of this, it's kind of hilarious. There's this green slime that's around the toilet area. He thought someone missed in aiming for the toilet. But then there's like a little shower inside there. One of the cool things, this may take a minute or two to get. Let's see, let's grab a guy off the shelf. So if I have this right, they actually have a working pole here. So you can set a Ghostbuster up here on the pole. And if you give it a twist, they're supposed to slide down. But and so they, it's kind of like what the 80s firehouse set was. You could put them on a little pedestal and slide them down, but the pole does technically work. It's just not been used in quite some time. I think there's some dust build up there, but any questions on the set? Anything else you'd want to see or take a closer look at?
It's funny. This reminds me of my old childhood. I don't know who made it, Mattel or somebody, but the old
Kenner.
firehouse set that used to, it was a Kenner.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like the same thing, except it's missing the grating on the top for me to pour the slime into, to just coat everything in there.
Yeah.
But I love the level of detail in this thing.
My parents were of the camp, we're not doing the ectoplasm in the house, kids. No, we don't want that in the carpet or on the carpet.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to see.
No, I had to do it in the garage.
I don't know if I can get the building to tilt, but there is actually a grate on top. You just can't pour the slime in it.
Well, the detail on this, and I'm not showing these, and I could touch on them quickly, but the two castles that we built, the Disney Castle and the Hogwarts Castle, Disney Castle more so. The Hogwarts Castle has detail in it, but it's scaled differently. But they did the same thing. They took pieces from different movies within the Harry Potter series in the rooms in the castle in the back of it. It doesn't open. The whole back of the castle is already open, so you can actually view it in the case. But that is what got Julie, was the level of detail, in each room. Like they even have the room that's got the pink. I forget who the teacher was, who was the crazy short little lady who always wore the pink outfit. But they have her room, like her studio, in the top of the castle. They have the rotating staircases, so it's very similar level of detail across multiple movies, which is cool.
And the thing that really got me is as I'm putting Bankman's office together, I had to stop and take a moment just because, again, I'm a big fan of the franchise. But this is a plate. I hope that's in focus. I can't tell.
Close enough.
But
yeah,
if you see on there in the lower left, it says R.I.P.H.R. Harold Ramis.
Oh yeah, it does.
So they paid a small tribute to Harold Ramis in this with the sticker, and that this was pre-Afterlife. And if anybody's seen Afterlife without spoiling it, if you're a fan of Egon and Harold Ramis, go see the movie. And if you go see the movie, stay through all the way to the end credits, all the way to the end. Don't get fooled.
Not just the middle end.
Not the middle end. The end.
Marvel has trained us all well, I think.
Yeah. So that's the firehouse. And fun fact that I learned about this just the other day is that this is technically half the building. When this was first assembled in New York City, whenever it was, there was actually a second piece right here. They had two bays, and it was almost an exact mirror of each other. But because they wanted to widen whatever street this is, they tore the building down to widen the street to make more room for vehicular traffic. So this is technically the building that we know, 8 hook and ladder, is actually half a building.
That's crazy.
There was a black and white somewhere that shows, okay, now let's put this down without busting it to a million parts.
Yeah. Well, while you're getting,
I'm like, that's all we
Not
need
like-
is somebody on this broadcast to smash their entire set.
yeah,
Oh no.
while you're getting ready for your next build, Doug, just a couple points to make. I'm disappointed that it's a retired product, because I'm literally going to the Lego site and I find out the hard way it's retired. 2, I knew how big it was, but I didn't realize how big it was until you actually opened it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's you know, seeing that just a minute ago. I mean, here's Egon minifig scale to fit in the car, and that, I mean, that thing took up almost the whole frame. It's
Yeah,
three
but
stories.
it's not to scale with like the other buildings that they do.
No, the architecture, it's not the scale to the architecture series, I don't think at all.
No, not the architecture. The like
Oh, the
whenever
city
they
stuff.
release like the cafe or
Yeah,
you know,
the city
bookstore.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
those.
See, I'm still
So-
waiting for that one to come back in stock because that one's still not retired yet. But
So when I first seen they were coming out, I'm like, they had an Ecto 1 already. Why do they have to do another one? And this is just more of a scale thing. This was the first one that I had bought and thought, okay, they're coming out with a second Ecto. Why is it so much money? No, I get it. It's a lot larger. But in Afterlife, you could see they did move the ladder from this side to the back side to make room for a gunner seat. But one of the things I opted for in this particular build is I did not put the rust stickers on. I know Ecto sat for a while and she's been in storage and all this other stuff. No, I like the look of the original. I want to keep that. I opted to not put the rusty stickers on. It comes with a little bag of Stay Puft marshmallows, which I think is hilarious. But this build's quite interesting. They're, you know, with some of the vehicles that they've made, they've done some things with the door hinges, so they don't flap all the way open. They only come out so far, and they do like a double hinge sort of thing. So this is like the most they can open. But whenever you do, what I liked about this one is that you have this button up here. My son plays with this quite a bit, and it does turn the front steering. So there's gearing and things like that to do that. But as you're doing that, it is connected to the steering wheel. So as you turn the wheels, the steering wheel actually turns as well. So there's gearing and
Yeah,
everything from a technic perspective to get all that. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, they pulled a lot of that influence there with like the double hinge doors and the steering drive. And there's a technical term for that steering drive, and the name escapes me right now. But you see it a lot in the Technique cars and stuff that they build. So all like the Porsche, the Bugatti, they all have that double hinge door there to keep it only opening to a certain point. And you've got that drive thing on like the rally car and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the Mustang has it too. Obviously, we'll check that out here in a minute. But yeah, I mean, that's what I like about it. Like when they talk about swooshability or playability, my son loves it because he can actually steer the wheels and play with it and stuff. From an action perspective,
now, does the gunner seat pop out and twirl when you open the door there?
Yep.
yeah,
I lost the hubcap. Yes, it does. Again, it's been a while. So there's a button on this side that you push, and if I got to get it just right, but it will pop out and the seat does spin around. I don't know if you guys can see that because of the shadow, but it does. The seat does flip around. It causes this door to kick open. You can't really put a character in there. There's no like stud for them to sit on.
yeah, you can. They'll just fly off the seat.
No, I mean, if seatbelt's optional. And there is like a little proton pack on the back of the gunner seat, but yes, it does eject. And if you follow me on Twitter, I had a series up about like the detail that went into some of this build, and even like the interior doors. You can see some of the detailing here. It has the black finish with some of the gray in it, but it doesn't auto retract. You do have to push it back in. But yeah, it not only comes out, but then it twirls around. I just thought that was incredible that they were able to engineer such a thing. As you drive it, there's the drive wheels turn some of the gadgets on the top, like the little satellite dish, and there's probably technical terms for the beams going back and forth. The names escape me. Like some of the other Technic stuff, these tubes are used for the blue. The hood does open up, so you can see the big block, pun intended, big block engine that's inside. And there's a little rubber bands here. I expect those to dry rot over time that actually spin and move, not with any drivetrain or gear train, but they do in the little battery terminals for the connection stuff. Crazy thing about this set, the grill in the front, that is like 48 pairs of roller skates. The little roller skate. They turned it sideways, and that little thing it jets out. So,
I hate those little things. Those things hurt my hands.
Yeah, we talked about we talked about NPU, or the nice parts usage with the frogs in the bonsai tree set. Yeah, they used roller skates to make up a majority of that grill in the front. And the last piece of action here is the back door does open. Sorry, Al, mine works. And then on
No, it's, his ejection seat won't work once he builds it. That's just.
and then there's a little tab you can pull here. Let me see if I can get it right. And then this actually drops the door, and the rolling trap from the film comes out.
I'm learning so much about how it should have been built as opposed to how I put mine together.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, I guess like my son will drive it in motion, and then of course now it fails me. Yeah.
So
Did
you
have
Oh,
extra
no.
pieces, Al, when you,
Now I have
when
an
you
extra
finished it?
piece.
Did you have a lot of extra pieces?
I do. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, but
Because you're not supposed to.
yeah, as Doug pointed
Oh.
out, and I've confessed many times, I skipped a step or two, and I'm gonna go back and rebuild it at some point because now I am so
Well, now he has
jealous.
to because I
Yeah.
keep making fun of him for all of this stuff that doesn't function right. So he's going to be forced to tear it apart.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
peer pressure at its best.
So
I think we-
here's a fun question.
Yes.
How many unique pieces in the kits that you are in, talking about the frogs on the bonsai kit, or like the Ecto 1 license plate? Yeah, that's a special, but how many unique to the kit pieces in some of these ones do you have?
Oh gosh, I think that's the problem. Is every one of these like bigger sets that come out, whether it's whether it has to do with Ecto or the Firehouse. I mean, the stickers alone, I think, are what make it really, really unique. Because even if you have the parts in the bins, if you don't have the stickers, you kind of lose a little bit of look. Some of these, like the Cadillac album was a sticker, was the Cadillac emblem was a sticker, but the doors on the side, those were printed on. Those were not stickers. So those,
I
in my
saw
mind, are
that.
unique.
They actually printed the Ghostbuster logo so it wouldn't
Yeah.
wear specifically. It's interesting how, and there's some looking around mine, like on the space shuttle, they did the same thing with the NASA or some of the NASA logos on the wings, but not on the bay. They actually were printed, so they're more permanent, which was actually kind of cool. It won't fade.
Yeah, I like the printed because it means it won't wear. Things. I think my only, if I had to really nitpick and complain, my complaint about the Ecto Firehouse, the back of the house, if I can get it back up on the table, I can show you the back of the house. It doesn't show any detail. Like they knew, nobody's going to see the back. Well, you might, and you could have covered that up a little bit better. With the car, this is a big piece of plastic for the windshield, and there's a couple of like relatively deep scratches in it. It would be nice if they had like some sort of protective film on it when they ship it that you could peel off so it doesn't get scratched. I know I'm nitpicking, but if somebody's an avid collector and they're spending that much money, minor things. But when we were talking about printed bricks, I kind of wish this was a sticker instead. So this is the Mustang, Mustang GT. I don't know if it's a 350 or 500, but this one I got for my birthday last year. Really neat set. I'm a fan of the Mustang, but yeah, similar to Ecto, as you turn the front wheels, there's no mechanism to make the wheels turn, but as you turn the wheels, the steering wheel does turn with it. What I don't like is like these side panels, these stripes on there, the white stripes down at the bottom of the doors. Is the printing isn't 100% accurate. Like some of the, there's like a bit of wobble to them. They're all in place the right way, but there's a bit of wobble.
Oh, yeah.
And had I done the stickers myself, maybe could have been a little more picky. I don't know. Again, my son loves this because it's very playable and swooshable, as they say.
You like to leave that one in stock instead of hot rod mode?
Well, that's what I was getting to. Is there's a lot you can change with it. For those that don't know, so the roof does come out somehow so that you can play with the steering and stuff in it. Inside, there is a gear shift in the middle that does turn and move. And when the door is similar, they only open so far, whatever that term's called, and you can actually move the seat forward to get in the back seat. So each of those turn. And again, starting with Lego in the mid 80s, everything I built was always vertical. So this whole idea of turning things on the side or studs not on tops not is completely foreign to me. I'm still learning to do it through different techniques and things. But that's how they were able to assemble these seats, is those are actually elements turned sideways, which I think is just incredible. The trunk does open as well, and there's something you can put back there, but this is the back end with the dual exhaust. And you could change the license plate out. They came with a number of different plates you could put in. This one's particularly from California. I think there was another, probably Michigan plate or something that you could put in. And then of course the engine block, like the Ecto, they have the distributor and the battery terminal and a band in there that kind of moves around the
complete with strut tower braces. I like that.
Yeah. Now where it gets interesting is Sean was asking about hot rod mode. You can jazz this up quite a bit. So you can put on a front spoiler on the front to kind of improve aerodynamics, or kind of make it more track ready. And I kind of like that look to it. You can lift up the back trunk, put on a rear spoiler, and this adds 10 horsepower by default. That's a joke.
I thought that's why they didn't include the stickers there, because the stickers added 10 horsepower.
Don't make jokes, because GT7's coming out next month. So, when you add that spoiler, it does add 10 horsepower.
And then you can add like the side pipes for the exhaust on both sides if you want that look to it. You can also add the supercharger to the front. So again, more interesting elements. You pop this piece out of the hood. I think you got to take that out. And, maybe I have to put. I think I got to put. Yeah, that's it. I have to put it in with the hood down. Then you got the supercharger mode, kind of Fast and Furious style there. I guess maybe Dom Toretto would like that, as well as a nitrous oxide tank you can put in the back, which okay.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
And then the suspension lifts up in the back too, right?
Oh yeah, you're right. I totally left that out. So there's a wheel back here you can turn, and the back end will raise up a little bit.
Yeah. So now you can make it do wheelies.
Yeah.
Launch off the line.
That's something that's interesting. There's just this little wheel back here, and you can see some of the gearing underneath. That as you spin that, the wheel can raise and lower based on what your preference is. You want it all souped up and muscle, or do you want it kind of more factory, more stock? So the choice is yours. But I thought that was really interesting to see the different methods you could do to make it however you wanted. You could add some of the elements, not all of them, but with the side exhaust, the NOS tank, and the supercharger, as well as the spoiler in the front and rear and the suspension. I mean, it's quite a lot. I thought it was really interesting, and one of these days I hope to get a Mustang in my actual garage. But we can always dream, right? But those are the three that I really wanted to show today. I'll probably grab a few other things if we have some time at the end, but I want to make sure everybody gets a turn. So
yeah,
questions?
No, those are great. Actually, I just remembered that I keep forgetting to put the Dom's Charger on my lists because it's not retired yet. And being a Mopar Challenger fan, I keep forgetting to do that. So I just went and put it in a reminder.
There you
So
go.
when they email me, Al, who's up next? So I can spotlight him.
That would be JD. JD's next.
Oh, hey. Cool. Well, I'll start on this camera, and then I'll switch around to my cell phone, and I'll kind of show off some stuff. I wanted to start really quickly, and I won't take too long. I know we're watching the clock here, but I wanted to start quickly with a little story. So, I was into Lego when I was younger. I had in the corner of my room, I had the whole castle set up with a lot of different pieces, and that was a lot of fun. But then, as life happens, I kind of fell out of it. But then a few years ago, I was going through this massive box full of bricks that was actually not even my kid. It was my wife's, and I was kind of digging through there and kind of looking at what was going on, and I found this piece of cardboard, and I thought it was just really cool. I never had a big set like this when I was younger, and so I poured out this massive box of bricks and spent about a month or two digging through and finding all of the pieces to be able to put the Caribbean Clipper back together. And unfortunately, I can't show it to you right now because I disassembled it, but actually reassembled this set from 1989. And that's kind of what reignited the Lego passion for me. So unsurprisingly, and I'll switch cameras now.
Sure you switch cameras? I still see the same person.
There we go. So when the Pirates of Barracuda Bay set came out, I just absolutely had to have it because, you know, I don't know if it was exactly that ship that it was modeled after or another similar ship, but I think the idea here with this, this was a Lego idea set, was that one of those old 1980s ships had actually crashed on a reef, washed aground, and kind of this is what has happened over the past several decades. It's kind of become this little pirate getaway, and they've taken the ship and the wreckage of the ship, and they've actually built lots of fun little things in here. And so I love all the, you know, like all the others we pointed out, I love all the details here. The first thing is, let's go ahead and move. This guy's running away from a shark, so we'll kind of get these guys out of the way a little bit. And the first thing is this actually comes apart. So the entire reef will just separate here. And so you can kind of get into the bowels of the ship and see everything that's happening. We've got the captain up top here with their map. I love the little multicolored parrots that we get. One of the few pieces that I'm aware of that has multiple colors mixed together. So there's a lot of variability in how those actually turn out. There's another one over here. I think those are a lot of fun. But as
fine,
where
up by the parrot.
Well, there's actually, are you talking about in the little gel cell here?
The on top of it, what is that vine looking thing?
Yeah.
Oh. So the idea here is that, you know, it's been wrecked for many decades, and so there are lots of these little greenery pieces where the idea is the ship is kind of overgrown over the years.
Wow.
Oh, it's supposed to be like, yeah, growth, like green.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, just like some vines hanging down. There's some more up here. But one of the cool things about this ship is you can actually convert it. You can take all of these little pieces off, all the little green pieces. You can put in like the missing mast piece here. You can actually insert that in, and you can actually put this back together as, you know, an original ship that hasn't been wrecked, that hasn't gone through all this transformation. So it's a fun thing to actually be able to kind of flip that back and forth. But of course, as Lego does, there's tons of little details in here, some little farm animals that are hiding in there somewhere, and I kind of forget where it is. Oh, here it is. There's a little treasure chest. When the set, I don't even know if I can get it out. When the maybe permanently in there now. When the set goes together, that gets hidden inside, and so you can't even really see that. Well, let's see here. Let's flip around a little more. And just like we kind of talked about with the buildings, there's lots of fun little things in here. You can see there's a little kitchen in here. Got some things that we're cooking. Little bed set in here. And it's kind of hard to tell, but there's a little place for the captain to put their wig on a little stand there. Let's see what else we can find. I thought this was fun. We talked about, you know, bricks that don't always go in just a completely vertical fashion. This was fun, the way this was kind of built in to be at an angle like that, like it's sinking into the sand. And a little bedroom there. There's a bar somewhere. I kind of lost it. I think maybe it's over on this other side if I open the door. Let's see, pop her off, and then
The level of detail that
Yeah,
they go into
kinda
the
hard to get in.
innards is just so much fun.
so yeah, there's tons of little things hiding around here. You know, some extra swords. And I just love the pirate sets and the cloth and everything. I thought that was really cool. I was amazed on the original set that I found. All but one of these were still intact, so I did pretty good there.
Wow.
All right, so that's the first one I wanted to show off. Let's see here. And I also mentioned when I was younger, I was really into the classic space, and you can see on my shirt again, I got some of those guys. And so I actually have a little collection here where as I run across these guys used, I'll tend to pick them up and I'll stack them in here just to kind of try to find the different variations of the classic space. This one was one that I wasn't familiar with. I had kind of found a little bit later. I know there was a bunch of sets. So maybe you guys are more familiar with the black and white one, but that was a new one for me.
I don't remember the black and white one, but I remember those helmets though, that they were just those open faces, but there was still a helmet on, and the space logo was just that little arrow with the swiggle around the globe.
Yeah. Just briefly, I got a set like that. It was a minifig pack, I guess, at some point, and they came with these 6 with that white across the body.
Yeah. And in fact, at one point I found this little kit, and the whole reason I got it is it's kind of hard to see, but if you look really closely there, and somebody remind me what the name is, but there's one of the miniature minifigs in there. I know there's another name. Microfig, thank you. There's a microfig of a classic space character, and so I had to have that, so I bought that set just for that.
Nice.
You know what I like, JD? I know it's subtle, but you have a platform for the telescope.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
So that is,
That's off the set. That's in the set though, isn't it? I think you can actually.
It comes
part of the set.
That's actually what I'm building right now. So I haven't actually started on the shuttle orbiter itself, but the first thing in the kit is the Hubble. And so that's as far as I've gotten so far on that build, but I'm looking forward to finishing that one. But I love the way they did the solar panels there. These are like metallic little sheets that fit in that are really cool.
That was
was
one of my
such
favorite
a
builds.
pain in the butt to get it lined up for me. I kept it was either I had them spaced out too far or had them spaced out too close, and then they were like bowing. Like it was impossible to get it to lay flat for a good hour.
Yeah.
I guess what I was referring to is that blue floor.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I'll do that from time to time. If I'm trying to hold a bunch of pieces together, I'll just grab one of the big flat ones and kind of stick everything to it. Somewhere around here, I've got a bunch of the Star Wars minifigs that are all on like a sandy colored one, like it's maybe Tatooine.
Yep. That's what I like, that touch. I'll have to consider that moving forward.
Yeah. Just really quickly, speaking of space, I did put together the Saturn V. That's a beautiful thing to have in my background, but honestly, from a build perspective, it was incredibly boring. It was a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. If one of you guys have built that and disagrees, maybe share your thoughts. But I was really happy when that was finished. But I do have a lot of sets that I just TBD, right? So pick that one up. Haven't cracked it yet. Like I said, I've got the Discovery. I've got the ISS around here somewhere hiding. So lots of the space stuff that I really want to get to. And then, every once in a while with the space sets, they give away these little bonuses, you don't patch or something, and those are kind of cute.
Does anyone have in their ancient collections the Challenger space shuttle kit?
The full kit with the fuel tank and the boosters?
The original Challenger kit from 1984, 85.
No, I never had it. I never even had it as a kid.
Yeah, before it exploded and they pulled it off the market.
No.
It's damn near impossible to find now.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't.
No, I have Atlantis and Discovery.
I do. As I come across them, I do just pick up the kind of simpler shuttle builds just because I think they're fun.
Yeah, there was a Challenger kit, and after it exploded, they pulled that kit from the market, and good luck finding one.
Hey, JD, just a real, I'm going to pose a question to you that Richard had asked in the chat. How do you
Sure.
like those nano leafs? And if you want to discuss it via DM on Twitter, he said you're free to reach out to him.
Yeah, why don't you just hit me a DM on Twitter and I'll talk about it. I have a lot of fun with it, but since that's kind of a work related thing, I'll hold off on that one for a little while. The last thing I wanted to show off, I guess I've been cheating. I've been showing a lot as I go through. Oh, one more. I like this one just because it was so darn hard to get a hold of, but they did a VIP giveaway for the Ulysses space probe, and I got up at 6 a.m. one morning and smashed a button on my computer for half an hour before I was finally able to secure one of those. And so I think that's going to prove to be a pretty rare little set.
That was me when the AT-AT went on sale Black Friday, and then I woke up, noontime on Friday, and they were still available. I was like, oh, I figured.
I guess the actual last set I'll show before I hand it over is the Women of NASA set. And again, I'm drawn into a lot of the space stuff. I really like there's another shuttle orbiter there. We've got Mae Jemison and Sally Ride, Margaret Hamilton, Nancy Roman over here. So I was drawn to that because of all the space stuff. And then also as a father of a 7-year-old daughter, I like anything that we can do to kind of encourage women, encourage our young girls. And so I love that set had a little bit of throwback there and respect for some of those women and what they've done in that community. So there you go. Those are some of my fun builds. And then I'll just, as I walk away, a little shout out to my hometown of Seattle.
Very nice.
Nice.
All right.
Al, who's next up on the list? You?
That would be me. So I'm going to transition over to my cell phone. That's why I turned the video off here so you don't see my back per se. And let me turn on the camera for the phone itself. All right. So if you want to, yep, fair.
Hold on, let me get it spot. All right.
There it is.
Fair. All right, cool. So first and foremost, I am a big
Sorry, I had to do it.
well played. Love it. So I'm a huge sneaker fan. A few years ago, and you can probably tell by now, these are the Samba Classic indoor soccer shoes, but I've never worn them. And I tend to collect shoes for whatever reason. I don't get it, but it is what it is. So when the Adidas shoe came out for Legos, I had to grab one for me. And in the set itself, it comes with a mini shoe per se, and it's very detailed, but the larger one is much more detailed, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's got shoelaces, I guess you can call them, here across the top, the 3 stripes, which everyone knows Adidas is known for. It's got a tongue per se, just like on a real shoe. So now let's move over to the full size shoe, and I'm going to take it off its stand. A lot of these builds do come on stand, just comes off relatively straightforward, pretty easy. Anyhow, the soccer shoe that I displayed earlier, this is an 11.5. This is for scale. I believe the Adidas Lego shoe, I want to say it's 8.5 to 9, but it's pretty big, pretty real, pretty straight. And speaking of real, the laces are legit. They're actually real laces. Tongue, as I mentioned before, it's got a sole, and on the inside, I'll try to bring it inside, but it's just a Lego, Adidas logo. I'll get back to that question in a second, sorry. And if I had one wish, if I'm being nitpicky, as they say, I would have preferred the option to choose what color this comes in. I know it's easier said than done, but I love black shoes, so I would have preferred black in color. But overall, it was a fun build, pretty straightforward. And moving forward, if Adidas decides to put out shoe builds, I'm a big Nike sneakerhead, so it would be cool if they had an Air Jordan set. All right, now we're going to transition over to, Chris is going to appreciate this because I know he owns a Wrangler just like I do, is the Jeep Wrangler. And just like with most
Actually, I used to. Now I have a Gladiator.
Close. It's a Jeep. Okay. But what's pretty cool about the Lego build when it comes to cars, they're extremely realistic, and the level of detail is absurd. It's got the wheels. It's got some shocks per se. The doors do open, but these actually open just about all the way, just like a normal or real Jeep. It's got the steering wheel on the inside. It's a two-seater, and if you twist the steering wheel itself, it doesn't twist the wheels, but it does adjust up and down. It's got a gear on the inside. I know it's kind of hard to see. Spare tire on the back. I wouldn't call them seats in the back, but I guess you could fit two people if you really wanted to. And it's got some towing gear on the front.
And I think that back seat folds down or pops out, if I'm not mistaken. I think. I can't remember. My son got one for Christmas.
No, you're absolutely right. It does fold down.
Folds down.
Yep. And what else can I show on this? I'll try to bring a little bit closer, but yeah, the level of detail is crazy. The headlights, and like the older Jeeps, they come round in design when it comes to the headlights. Or I should say the newer Jeeps. I know the older Jeeps, the Wranglers, they used to be more square than anything else.
Did you show the suspension, how it rocks?
I did try to, but let me, it does rock. I'm not the greatest at demonstrating this, but as far as the hood does open, I should mention that as well. You can see the inside. It's got a Jeep logo there for the motor. Nothing. It doesn't do much of anything else, to be honest. But I guess that's the way of a Jeep. Jeep is a pretty straightforward vehicle. Doesn't come with a bunch of bells and whistles. But overall, I enjoyed this build a lot. Again, similar to the Adidas shoe, I wish there was an option to choose what color it could come in or what color you can order. But overall, it's a fun build.
Al, if they really wanted to embrace the true Jeep experience, this set would come with a catalog of 3,000 additional mods that you could pay for, all of which cost more than the stock kit itself, so that you can really personalize it and make it your own.
That's true, and I completely forgot. Yeah. I know JD owns a Wrangler as well, so he can attest to this. When you're a Wrangler owner, it can be an extremely expensive hobby, and I can see how that could transition or translate over to Lego builds. If they offered modifications, additional accessories, I would probably be the first on the list to jump on them. And one other little minor request, if I had one, I wish it came in a 4-door model.
Oh yeah. I feel like just from a budgeting perspective, being a fan of Lego and Jeep should be mutually exclusive.
Yep, for sure. All right.
There's a distinct lack of mud on that kit.
This bad boy it's like an indoor cat. It's going to stay indoors. You know what I neglected, and again, I'm kind of rushing things for respect to everyone's time. I should have mentioned, going back to the Adidas shoe, it comes with an Adidas shoe box.
Nice.
So now, what size is the shoe? Is it a 4?
So I actually looked. Unfortunately, it doesn't say so or say anything about the size. I could probably measure or look it up online, but to give you some, again, perspective, here's the actual box for my Samba Classics, and it's the same size. Let me put this in so you better look, but it's the same size. And again, these Samba Classics, I wear a size 11.5, but as you can see, again, another example of the detail. Who wouldn't want a box like this for their Lego build, for their Adidas shoe? It's pretty cool. And on the inside, it's got when you purchase it, this was a bonus. So the small shoe that I shared with everyone earlier, it comes in this box. So this was an added bonus when I bought the shoe itself, the full-size shoe. Yeah, and it comes with, as you would expect,
tissue paper,
just like you're purchasing a new shoe. And like with any Lego build, comes with a guide, and there are some spare pieces. So overall, loved it. If you're a sneakerhead, I think you would enjoy a build like this. So next up on my list, and the final one, and I think most of us, or maybe not on, Lego enthusiasts, I should say, you don't have to be on this call for this, but most Lego enthusiasts have a Millennium Falcon. This is the smaller version. At some point or another, I'll get around to purchasing the large one. I just don't have the space for it. Huge Star Wars fan, so this was without hesitation, I purchased this when I had the opportunity. It comes with the various figures, so you can see R2D2, Chewbacca, C3PO, and some others. All these panels open up, and they have, the individual rooms, if you want to call it that. So I'll try to hold the phone and keep it steady, just to give you an idea. I guess you can. This is where the, I don't know if you want to call it the community room, family room, whatever, however you want to define it. Over here to the right is the sleeping quarters. You can see there's 2 beds. Right here is the, sorry, I'm terrible at holding this camera, is the kitchen. You can see the sink, little stove, and each of these panels open up. I'll bring the camera back over here so I can have a wide angle. Each of these panels open up and close as needed. And you've got your satellite, your gunner, and so on and so forth. What I wish, and again, when I get around to it, whoever it was that brought up the light kits earlier on this conversation, at some point I would like to purchase a light kit for this build, because I think it would just add so much value to it, make it that much cooler. But that's it for me, and I'll get back to the questions in a second.
Yeah, we could have a whole nother conversation just on Jeeps. Just empty every pocket. That's what it stands for.
I totally forgot about that acronym. Yep, it is so true.
Yeah, dude, I bought my Gladiator, and before it ever even left the dealership, it had tires, lift kit, wheels, light kits. Like, I spent all of it before I even drove it home. The stock suspension didn't even have dust on it yet.
Not yet. In time. But that's it for me. And it looks like, Joe, you're up next.
Very cool. Okay, so we moved things around just kind of for presentation's sake. So a little, I'm not sure if you want to say, I just want to kind of call ourselves out on the floor for this one. This was COVID. I was a Lego fan when I was a kid, but we did all of these builds that you see here within the last year. So the little Mandalorian brickheads were what started me off, and it just exploded from there. But the 3 that we're going to talk about today, we're actually going to talk about, and this is brand new that we built over the weekend, is the globe. We're going to talk about the typewriter, and we're going to talk about R2D2. So I am going to move in on these, and I guess we'll start with R2. Probably one of my most challenging builds. This is my first Technic endeavor, which if you've seen, I don't have the manual handy, but the innards of this are basically just wall-to-wall Technic. And there's a good reason for it, because R2 has a very articulating third leg that,
not for everybody, only for some.
Not for everybody, fair. But the leg,
sorry, Al.
The leg goes up into him, and then when you're getting ready to move him out, you lean back, leg comes down, and then he's in 4-wheel drive mode, or I guess 3-wheel drive mode. His head completely mobile, moves around.
Joe, I actually thought that detail on the legs was the most impressive, because those were like he used that 2-legged stance a lot, like when he was hiding. And you do that, like, as soon as I started playing with it, I was like, man, this is the hobble mode. This is like the, put the leg up and put the other 2 legs straight. That to me was the most impressive, like, detail on it, for sure.
Right. Yo, absolutely. And then there's some buttons in the back that actually pop out. So his tools will come out for zapping Salacious Crumb, hacking into the Death Star. He's got his little antenna that comes up. And this is another one that does have a light kit that we're probably going to get at some point, and then kind of disassemble them and put them back together. The dog in the background is not a Lego, although she likes to think she is.
And Joe, if you saw the Light My Bricks kit for that, actually has lights and Ori light and sound kit where he bleeps and blops. Which is what
Ooh,
I'm gonna go with.
I think that's going to be necessary. So the next kit is the typewriter, which was actually, I don't know how many people, will have to find it and put it in the link in the chat or something, but there's a Lego Ideas website where people will submit their ideas and crowdsource likes. When it hits 10,000 likes, it moves on to different levels of acceptance. Well, this was one of the kits that someone in Britain, in England, developed and got picked through Lego. And that's how it ended up being created. What's really neat about this, and the text, they actually give you pages. I don't know if you can see it. They give you, I want to say it's 50 different languages. So every language has this this note, and you can peel off which one you want and put it in here as if you sent the message to your, to your Lego people. And then what's also really cool is the typewriter. It works, and as you can see, it's moving along. And when you get, like you do in a typical typewriter,
that's cool.
Zips back to the other side.
Does it ring a bell when you hit the end?
No, but that would be really fun for, like, if they were to ever make, like, I don't know that you would want a light kit, but a sound kit for this would be really cool. And again, this is, I don't know if you can see it, but each of these pieces, everything inside, again, it's all Technic inside. So it's very, 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 very unique build. I don't know if we can turn it around. Yeah, no, it's hidden very well, so you don't see the Technic on the inside. But yeah, so that's the and that was, Felicia built that, and it's probably her more challenging and proudest builds. And then we both worked on this week. This was just released, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? It was released on February 2nd. Again, Technic all inside, almost looks like the Death Star. But you've got the globe with all of the different continents, the oceans, the north, the Arctic Ocean up top, Antarctica on the bottom, fully articulating.
It's all printed. There's no stickers.
Right, there's no stickers. So everything, North America and everything, all that's printed on top of it. But yeah, no stickers. But that was by far a fun build. Little bit tedious because, as you can see from these points here, there's a lot of duplication and effort. So when we got to the pages, we were actually able to each do one of these pieces and kind of move through it rather quickly. So I mean, it's a little bit challenging, but it's a quick build if you could believe it. So it went rather quick. Any questions about those guys?
Joe, when I was looking through some of the build photos of that one, there's a pair of wheels on the inside. Is that just to provide resistance so it doesn't spin freely?
It seems to be, yes. They're actually, I'd have to look at the build part too, but those wheels don't actually spin. They're actually holding things in place.
They create weight so that it stays balanced, because the wheels sit right here. So it makes it so that it always tilts.
Can you hear her okay, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure
Interesting.
what you mean by it always tilting.
You have-
Right.
Like,
So hold on, I'll show you.
Hold on, she's actually going to go get the mat.
It's on an axis there, so it's always tilting.
Right, and
I would think that you would want to put weight on the left side to keep it from tipping over to the right.
Yeah, but what is the spot where the wheels are is actually here. Well, I guess it's not. I guess it actually moved. So I'm not sure why. I don't know.
Yeah,
I actually don't know why.
little stumped about that. So we'll have to look at the book and see exactly what the
Wheels do.
wheels do, but they're not part of the spinning motion. It's all a very central axis in the middle that is attached at the top and the bottom, which creates that free spinning.
But even with the free spinning, I think to Sean's point, it's very well balanced where it doesn't like spin back to a certain point. Like it's staying on whatever point you turn it to. Which
Right,
is actually,
right, and and I think that's where he's saying do those rubber wheels that are actually inside the build, add to that. I think that's what he's asking, and I'm not sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, because that's like on my Ferris wheel over there, it's got a pair of wheels that drive it, but also give it resistance. And same thing with the roller coaster set too. You can slide the wheel in to stop the roller coaster car at the station.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Yeah, so that's our 3 builds. I know some folks were showing their minifigs. We have from Wicked Brick, the UK company that we get our cases from. We have an 80 block little display stand of minifigs here. As you can see, we're probably going to need another stand at some point soon. And then last but not least, before I hand it off to Chris, here's our current TBD. So we have a little bit of a backlog. The city pieces are actually not going to get built until we finally head out west and build our next house in Colorado and do all that good stuff. But yeah, we're slowly collecting more and more things to do.
And you just stacked those up today, didn't you? Just to put.
Oh, we totally did. Oh, it's totally it was totally a show.
I know you well enough.
Yeah, you know
Joe.
me.
Well
yeah,
played,
only
Joe.
me. So.
And
right.
If I can jump in real quick, that makes 2 builds that I've incorrectly put together, and for those keeping track. Thank you, Chris.
That's what we're here for, Al. So.
All this talk about lighting bricks earlier, I was, kind of perusing the site in between builds here, and the light and sound kit for the large Ecto 1 has lights and sound.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, I'm gonna go broke getting lighting kits on this stuff.
They're actually so full disclosure, I did reach out to them. They do have a first order code, so if you want to build up like your first order, I have like a 10% off code for Light My Brick. So I'm holding off to like because I'm gonna order a bunch of the helmet ones at once. But hey, 10% is 10%. But I actually asked them, and they said, hey, here you go. If you're gonna order, first time order, you can use it, but after that, you can't use it again.
Yeah, I have several of those referral codes too. So
yeah, and they look like decent kits too. I mean, they're not like I said, they're manuals. I spent a lot of time researching, and they're deconstruction instructions. That make sense. Make look a little bit better than some of the ones on Amazon for sure.
Yeah, she has 2 of those Light My Bricks kits for the Volkswagen and the truck. So they're really good.
Hey, Al, just remember that the whole point of Lego is creativity. So it's impossible to put it together wrong. You just took a little bit of a different path.
That's it. And I can always say it's my personal build. Maybe I can build, no pun intended, upon it.
Bullshit.
Oh man.
Listen, there is no right or wrong way to build these, but that was the wrong way.
Yeah. If it doesn't work, it's the wrong way, Al. Like if the foot doesn't work, yeah, it's wrong.
I'll take it.
Oh, you have to wear the Adidas shoe.
Yeah,
you got to put on the Lego shoe and walk around.
Put it on.
Can you imagine?
All right. I'm up next, I guess.
That is correct. Yep.
All right. Let me switch over to my mobile camera. So like everyone else, I'll just do a quick pan around all the different sets. Actually, of all the cases, my favorite one is actually the shuttle case for the Discovery because of the way it hangs on the wall. That's personally, I just love that case. But unlike most everybody else, I can't really play with mine because I like to put things neatly in cases. But the first one I'll talk about that actually isn't in the case yet is this is fairly new. This is the Republic gunship, and it's bigger than it looks. The table it's sitting on is about 40 inches around, and the wingspan on this thing is about almost, I'd say, 28 inches across. So it's a lot bigger than I thought when I got it. So yeah, this one is a space problem for me right now as far as where to put it. But what made this one interesting, actually, from a build perspective, is like all the new stuff. There is a lot of technique in it, but it has a lot of articulating parts. Like these rear doors actually slide back and forth, and it only came with 2 minifigs, which is kind of strange. It doesn't have anybody in the cockpits. It doesn't have anybody in the gunner's pods. So they left those out, but the rear door actually drops down for the crew to come out. These pods actually move back and forth. So there's a lot of hard places to get to. Like yesterday when I finished this, these pieces here had to snap in after the wing was put on. So it was honestly just really hard to get in there in some of the areas. But it has a little bit of detail, but not as much as some of the other ones on the inside. I mean, it's mostly just a platform floor. I liked it just because of the size of it and sort of how it sits on the display and has a little bit of an angle to it like the other ones do. I honestly didn't remember this one from the movies until I actually went back and looked. Like all of the Star Wars stuff in the books, they have actual photographs from the movies, for each ship. And then I saw this one with all of the clones, jumping out of it, and I was like, oh, okay, now I remember that ship.
You didn't watch the Clone Wars TV show then, did you? Because it's in like every episode.
It was in the movies for a little bit too, but it has these little articulating rockets back here. They don't pop out or anything, which I thought was strange. They just kind of sit down inside. I was expecting them to actually come up when it was done. But it was interesting because of the size and because of the shape of it. Like the wings themselves, you can't see it now, but there's actually a shelf here that comes out from inside that this is what it's covering up, and it's mostly a support for these wings, because they actually have quite a bit of weight to them. They're pretty well built up, more than I thought. There's probably 3 or 4 layers on here, which is what made it interesting. So that one we have to find a case for that one, but we haven't gotten around to it. The biggest one that I have in the collection is the UCS Star Destroyer, which interestingly enough has no innards to it. If you actually look at the build manual for this, it's completely hollow on the inside. There's no inside detail at all. And it's mostly because of the scale of it. I mean, we obviously know how big the Star Destroyers were, but they even stuck a small Tantive 5 or Tantive 4 on the front of it for scale. But the detail across the insides of it, like the shell where all the guns are and all that stuff along the in between the 2 sandwiches, if you will, is actually a lot. It has a lot of those little roller skates in there that Matt was talking about, in different places, just for detail. There's a couple of them there on the back. But it wasn't a hard build so much as nothing was a different color. So on the inside there, the Technic pieces are different colors, but when you get to the coverings, trying to find, where all of the different pieces lay across the gray, it's almost harder than anything I've done because there was all gray. Like there was no difference in shades or anything. But the way it went together, it was actually quite interesting because you do the base shell, you do the outline of it, which is what these long piece in the middle that runs the length of it to make an A-frame. And then all you're doing is a repetitive mirror image of the undercarriage, the underplates on the left and right rear, and then the underplates on the left and right front, and then the top plates left and right rear, and top plates left and right front. So it wasn't a lot of thought to it until you started to get to the tower and some of these other pieces that have a lot more detail to it. But it's physically massive. I mean, like I said, this table is 30 inches wide by 48 inches long, I think. So it's a big beast. There is a light kit for this that does actually light up the engines and the stuff in the back. which might be cool, but I don't know that I want to take that cover off of it now. And the other one that I actually should have taken the case off of it to show you guys the inside is the new AT-AT. This one is really interesting. It's actually fairly delicate. The legs, so if I actually just wiggle this table a little bit, you can actually see it moves pretty easily because it's fairly narrow. That was my concern about it, as it stance, you know, the legs don't stand too far apart and you can't articulate them. There's actually you actually build a screwdriver that you use in certain sections of the legs. There's actually a gear drive behind the knee that you can turn the gears for each of the knees and the hip, so that you can actually get the legs the way you want. But inside, these side plates actually come off. There is crew quarters. This door here actually flips open, and there's actually minifigs behind it. In the rear, there's 2 snow speeders that are stored vertically. So you'd have to go look at the build docs to see that. But my favorite part about this one is the case as well, because the place I get the case is they did a printed background with the sort of the Hoth scene in the back, where it makes it fit a little bit more into the scene. Actually, on the floor too, the floor is printed as well, and it's not a sticker; it's actually pre-printed. And I had enough room, luckily enough, to stick the Imperial droid in the same case, because it kind of fit the scene, which was cool. But I think everybody liked pointing out that there's the little minifig of Luke hanging from the belly of it, trying to get in. And there is actually 2 pilots in the pilot seat. The top actually opens up. There's a commander in there. So a lot of the minifigs are actually hidden inside of it. So I may actually, every once in a while, I could probably take the side cover off and display it without that. But it just makes it easier to dust it. But this one's not easy to really play with because of the delicacy of the legs and some of those other pieces.
It's fragile for sure.
It's more than I thought, but it's just the way it's balanced. You know, it's so narrow and it's so tall. And then when you kind of think back, you're like, well, no wonder why when they just ripped the leg out from underneath it fell over.
Yeah, the playability one was the motorized one that, you know, you turn on the motor and it just starts walking across the floor.
Right. And just real quick, I mean, we hit on the detail of these. I won't spend any time on it, but we did display these so you could walk around the backs of them. But that's what I was saying to about the firehouse. Like, this has the rotating. This is the Hogwarts castle. It has the rotating staircases. It has the chess pieces. You know, all the things from the different movies. Actually, when this was downstairs, the light that comes through the colored pieces looks like stained glass, and same with the Disney castle. You know, I think they did a really good job on the detail on the Hogwarts one, even down to the dragon, you know, up on the roof. But those are the 3 I was just going to go through, because they were. I tend to love the bigger ones. Like, I just hauled this one up from downstairs, so that'll be the next one. No idea where I'm going to put that one, but like everybody else, I have to do the Millennium Falcon.
Very nice, very nice.
I think because I was showing, I didn't have a chance to actually pin myself, but I will pin you, Sean, so that everybody can look at your stuff behind you, and we should actually be able just go back on time.
All right, so I'm going to turn this video off, but I'm going to keep my audio connected to there and hope that my AirPods don't magically jump from the laptop to the cell phone. So we'll see here. Okay, hold on. So if I turn that on and I spin it. Okay, can everybody see what I'm showing here? Do you have my phone pinned?
I'm working on it. Which I'm trying to. Oh, your phone's down here. Hold on. I was trying to pin the spotlight the wrong one. Now we got it.
There we go. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna tip this sideways to make it a little bit easier here. So I'll kind of start at the top. My collection is rather large, and there's a lot of UCS sets in there. You know, you've got your shuttle, You got your Jawa sand crawler. The A-wing is a recent piece. You've got, you know, the couple of different TIE fighters that we have in here. You know, your X-wing. There's your missing snow speeder, Chris. You're gonna have to add that to go with your AT-AT.
So it was interesting. I've actually been looking for that when it's retired, but when I was a kid, I had the original toy, the snow speeder, actual like Star Wars toy, and that one that brought back I had a lot of memories of that one as a kid because different pieces of it would pop off, you know, as an example, like it got hit, you know, like the guns would pop off, and so yeah, I actually did see that one.
It's funny, if I'll zoom in here real quick, but if you go from one of the countdown or the advent calendars, there's your little shield generator and stuff like that you could add in the distance there if you want to really build out your set. Along with,
and by the way, they just retired the A-wing like last week. It finally got marked as a retired product.
So just like you probably don't remember your Republic gunship, I don't think you probably remember the Venator class from that as well. This one's not actually an official Lego set. This was someone built this and put the instructions online, and I was like, I have to have it. But you know, I go through a lot of this stuff here. You know, I keep having sets and more sets and more sets, and there's even more even down here. There's pretty much every UCF set except for a Y-wing, which I have not assembled because I'm still accumulating pieces and parts for it. I've got about 90% of it. There's all those space sets that we were talking about before with the shuttle. You'll see a lot of brick head sets, which I love. You know, we were showing ships before. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I do this. I iron my sails before I display them. So you just gonna kind of put it on the lowest iron set, and then they'll stay nice and stiff like that, and it's good for displaying. We'll keep moving through here. So a lot of people have a Saturn V rocket, but I don't know how many people have gone through and acquired a bunch of bricks to build a launch tower to go with it. But it just sits right in there and everything like that. I've got more Star Wars droids intermixed with things that I picked up from Galaxy's Edge. So you'll see, because I think I forget who was showing off. They have the new R2, but this is the old R2, and you'll notice that the old R2 and the old style, it's a very, you know, angled head as opposed to all of the curved and shaped pieces there. So it's just a different style of how they built it. I still have problems with that same center leg issue as well, just like with everyone else there of it, you know, coming down. But I've got all the droids. So I've got a BB-8 in there, and you'll notice he pops out with his little flame and everything like that there to give you a thumbs up. I've got DO, I've got the Porg, I've got it all in here. But I'm not just about the Star Wars stuff. I know someone was commenting about it earlier, but I think they had to leave. I do a lot of cars, okay? I love all of the Technique cars and everything like that there. I have like a ton of Ferraris and everything, all the different ones, the Enzo and the 599 and the 207. I've got the big cars. I love the big cars. They've got the Porsche, they've got the Bugatti. I know we were showcasing a Jeep, but down here is a giant Range Rover, which has a complete, you know, drivetrain and everything in there. And, you know, it still has the front tow, you know, tow rope and everything like that there. I absolutely love them. And over time, you can actually see they make changes to the gears. So all of the gears have like 4 different positions and a reverse. And let me see if I can pull one of these up. If I open the door here and everything, you will see that there's little paddle shifters in here to actually shift the gears left and right, you know, and going up through the gear systems. The actual original Porsche instructions that came with the set, the gears went out of order, and it went like 1, 3, 4, 2 when you were shifting through them. So it didn't. They made changes there so that you could actually get that to work. I know, Chris, you were talking about a hidden screwdriver. The Bugatti comes with a Chiron screwdriver key here, because if you're familiar with the actual $1 million car, you can insert the key in behind the door and turn it, and then that raises and lowers the spoiler. And the same thing is in here. If I insert it just behind the wheel, I can lower the spoiler down or raise it up there, to go with it. So it's just like little touches that they love to put in with some of these things. I'm a big fan of sets like the roller coaster and stuff. And if you look really closely, I've got my Star Wars minifigs riding the roller coaster because, they've got to. But I've got all sorts of different sets there. There's like the, I've got the carousel. I've got the, Ferris wheel, and I've got the, it's the haunted house. But if you've actually been to Disney World, it's actually more like a Tower of Terror. There's a piece inside of here. This whole thing opens up just like the firehouse does. And there's a little elevator that takes you all the way up to the top, and the doors open, and then it drops you. For those of you who haven't seen them before, these are the 5 VIP coins. So you can collect these one by one through the VIP Reward Center. Unfortunately, if you have not gotten the 5 coin holder, that is now out of stock again. But the coins are in there. You are only allowed to apply 1 per order, which is just the way that they've done it, unfortunately. So you've got to place a bunch of orders. So I just would order just like one single set and add a coin to it, just so that they would come through. And it was a giant waste of shipping just to get all these coins. So if you complain, they will give you a bunch of VIP coin parts, I think, to offset that. I've got the Hogwarts Castle as well, and a few other sets there, and even more cars. But lately, one of the ones that I really liked, and I wanted to focus on today, is the flowers. Okay, I love these. These are part of the new adult line that they have now, and I absolutely love what they've been doing with this here. And it's, we were talking about this before about the nice part usage. If you look really closely on the rows, it's the front end of a car. Same thing with the orange flower, it's a hood. Okay, so they're reusing these old parts here in a new ways and in a new color, because I don't think that they had like a peach car that they ever sold, but you can really just start to see it in there. They carve out for the little wheel wells and everything in it as they do it there. If you look on the side here, the leaf is actually a pterodactyl arm. So there's little fingers on there and everything like that, from one of the dinosaur sets. And then if I curve underneath this one here, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little surfboard there. So they've been reusing all of these unique pieces into the set that's not normally expected to find in a flower, which I love it. And we're gonna add to this. I have some other flower sets downstairs to just expand on this, but they never wilt, they never fade away. It's great to have in here.
Yeah, and Valentine's is tomorrow. Perfect timing.
Yeah, I may or may not have a set of roses downstairs. Don't say anything, the wife can hear you. And then even this one here, the birds of prey. I like the birds of prey, namely because it came with a base. That was the only thing that was bugging me about the other flowers here, is they didn't come with a base to display it. And you need a really narrow vase. Otherwise, it really spreads out. If you flip back through my Twitter timeline, you'll find my original photos of it here without a larger base in there, and they're just so spread out. You really need to add 2 sets or something to really tighten it up.
Sean, did you say birds of prey? Is that a DC thing then?
No. It's a type of flower.
I think
it's
birds of. It's actually birds of paradise.
Birds of prey. Oh, I said birds of prey, didn't I? Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, if those birds of prey, we need a Harley Quinn somewhere. But yeah, that's a whole different deal.
I might have one over there. The other Lego set that I wanted to focus on, if a lot of you have not, heard, I'm going to be expecting my first child. So here is my child's first Lego set. It's an official Lego onesie to go with it. So Target and Lego partnered up this year to do a whole clothing line. And I thought this was great. This was a gift from my my brother-in-law and his wife for Christmas there. So, baby's first Lego, I guess, right? Before we get into the Duplo sets.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's a whole line too. Like there's winter hats. We actually got my dog a dog sweater. that's
Yeah.
something like that.
It's all on clearance now if you can find it, because they're getting rid of them all, and you can get these things for a couple of bucks each if they still have them in the stores.
Jeez.
And so the last thing I wanted to do is I'm going to pan around to the last shelf here. So there's one more shuttle set that you may not have there. This is Endeavor, I think it is, but it's a full set there to build up. Goes nice with the Voltron. I know we were talking about the NES set and the cube from the N64. I just had to have that there. I've been building all sorts of things in here. There's some other cars. There's a Lamborghini. For those of you who are talking about minifigs, here's a whole bunch of Batman, and here's a whole bunch of Avengers, and here's a whole bunch of Iron Men in there. But I'm going to wrap this up with the last set that I wanted to focus on, which is right in here. This was actually on the top of our wedding cake this summer. So there's me, and I had I tried to customize the face on that a little bit there, and I went through Bricklink and sent Danielle a bunch of photos and said, which of these faces do you think looks like you the most, so that we had like faces that look like us and everything. And I went and redid a bunch of the colors in blue because they match our exact wedding colors. Our wedding cake had blue stripes on it, so I put the cake in the back there to have blue stripes on it. And so if you look back through some of the photos that I posted, you'll see this sitting on top of our wedding cake there, and everybody just absolutely loved it. When we took it to the baker, she thought it was the cutest thing.
Yeah, that's cool
to put on top of it. So that was just kind of a trip through, the most of the collection. I'm not going to get into how many sets are sitting down in the basement that need to be built and everything. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that they saw when I was panning around that they want, a little bit of a better view of? I mean, it's just everywhere in the living room here.
Do you have a separate insurance policy to cover this?
Well, I was actually no. You joke. I was actually going to bring that up. When we built the two castles, they're part of our home inventory. And by the way, they are not necessarily covered by personal property. In some cases, depending on the value, they could require a collectible rider.
Yeah.
So it's the biggest thing I learned about insurance was after a lightning strike, what's covered and what's not, and what you need to do to change it. But yeah, I've actually started taking photographs and adding all these to the inventory, even though I don't have nearly as many as Sean, but they're some are irreplaceable, right? Because the sets are no longer available. So
that's a good point.
But yeah, you talked. It's actually, these are some big collections, and I think it was good to actually bring that up towards the end. But I've actually got to call and double check. Most cases, I think they're covered under personal property, but you've got to have like screenshots of the price that you paid, things like that, especially if they're no longer available, or like we know they won't be available. Like stuff that we just bought today will be retired probably in 8 months or so. So you're never going to get a replacement for it.
Yeah. I mean, I built some buffer in just in the general, like, hey, you've got stuff that's valued in there. My insurance person said that that I didn't need to list anything unless it was over $1,000 individually. So even some of the jewelry stuff, he was like, yeah, like unless it's like, a ring that's worth more than like $1,000 or so, you don't need to list it. You can just, bulk it together. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. It all depends on who you have as a provider.
Yeah, I learned inventory is the best thing you can have when I had to inventory $80,000 worth of electronics.
Yeah, I remember you pissing and moaning online about all that.
Actually, my experience was very straightforward because I had the home inventory. I was literally able to go through and say, here's the serial numbers, here's what it was when I bought, here's what it cost when I bought it, and they started cutting checks. But it's an interesting conversation that I may actually end up having with our agent later, just because you start adding them up. Like, yeah, each individual set might not be $1,000, but you take those big UCS sets or even like the Castle Shawn and you add that to two other things and you're well over 10 grand probably sitting in your living room, if not more.
And if you're like me trying to piece together like the old UCS, like I didn't buy like the complete UCS set. I would, farm off of, Craigslist or Facebook or most usually eBay for like old sets that like, oh, okay, like it's 90% there. I can probably get the missing pieces for $50. Like, I don't even know how you put I don't want to put that in. I'd love the full replacement cost of it.
Yeah, which you could do if you just use the part, like if you use the SKU, the original SKU number and the original set number, most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about those extra pieces, do you guys have like a third-party business nearby you? Like right near our house, about just under an hour away, we have a place called Andy's Bricks, which they are a brick and mortar store that has all kinds of loose bricks. They resell. It's almost like a consignment shop where people can bring their old sets. In fact, Felicia got one of the old lighthouses from there, and they guarantee their sets that they resell.
Man,
Yeah.
Problem with that is that they're going to charge full price for them for those sets there. I'm trying to get this stuff on the cheap. I don't want to pay, the $900 that's been marked up for $100 set that isn't sold anymore because it's been 7 years. I find that like Lego Pick-a-Brick every now, because they rotate through inventory, especially with like a lot of the Star Wars ones. When you think, a lot of the Star Wars ones, they're all gray. They're all blue-gray. So whenever they have Pick-a-Brick and blue-gray, chances are you can find a ton of plates that will fit. And, maybe you don't need a 4x4 plate. Maybe use 4, 2x2s or something in its place. Like it's, and all's well that ends well if it still looks the same, right?
Yeah,
As long as you
I
can
found a
improvise.
sneaker for you. I'm pasting it in the chat.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, I
that
think
Al?
As long as you can maintain the structure and the look and feel of it, I guess you could like improvise in that sort of regard. Yeah, the Pick-a-Brick is interesting. What's crazy to me is, as I was doing some of this research, is that each little element in each color has some sort of number usually stamped on it of what that element ID is, what that color ID is. One of the things we started here at the house right as COVID was kind of setting is we would try to take the bricks that we already had in storage and try to make other sets that we didn't have. And we could probably get like 90% of the way there or something like that. But, mostly with especially with trains and other things that my son could play with.
Well, now that all the
You think I could find a neighborhood kick to like sort through all my old like bin of bricks, which has like 70,000 bricks in it? And
you couldn't, because you wouldn't pay him to do it. You're too cheap to pay the kid.
I'd pay someone, but you're right. I probably wouldn't pay much.
Well, the interesting thing that now that all the manuals are PDF, it makes that easier because all of that inventory for that set is in the last pages of the book. I mean, if you actually sat there and went through every single page, they all have a part number, every single that tells you exactly how many and what part number. So you could parse out an entire set with the online manual, which is why I thought the online manuals were interesting. I like them because I think they're easier to read on on the PDF on an iPad versus the actual book manual that you lose your page because it flips back closed on you or something silly. But that was one of my interesting thoughts was they do that and they've exposed all of the sets on how to build them.
You don't even need to do that.
Yeah.
You can go to a Bricklink and click on the set and it'll give you a full inventory of all the parts.
Yeah.
And you can click down into each part number and stuff. And most importantly with it, if it's a lot of these sets where, it's an interior piece that's not even going to be shown, it doesn't really matter what color it's in.
Mm-mm. And with that list, Al, if you get yourself an intern, you can probably have them take the Adidas shoe and flip the colors black and white and then put it together again and it'll be black.
That's
There you
true.
go.
Yeah,
That's a
very true.
great idea.
Mhm. Definitely.
Well, guys, I think this was actually pretty cool. I'll get the recording, parsed out and posted somewhere so people who want to watch can pull it up later. But this was kind of fun to start off a cold Sunday in Tennessee before the Super Bowl.
It is Super
it's good.
Bowl Sunday.
Mhm.
We gonna announce our picks?
I don't care. It doesn't matter who wins at this point to me. I just watch the game for the fun of it.
I got Bengals to win it.
Actually, well, I hope the Bengals win it because I think it would be one hell of a comeback story for the playoffs for sure.
Mhm.
The only because I'm from Pittsburgh, we hate Cincinnati. The
No,
only
we're
reason,
everybody.
the only reason that I'm actually rooting for the Cincinnati is because of the quarterback, and he could be the first in history to win a Heisman national championship and a Super Bowl.
The
And
Triple Crown.
all within 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
As long as he doesn't get sacked a dozen times today, that might happen.
So that's
We're-
the only
we're-
reason. Otherwise, no, we don't like Cincinnati. I'm rooting for
Yeah,
him, not the team.
Yeah, we're all about team fluff for the Puppy Bowl, so we'll be interested in that more so than the real game.
Boy. All right, gentlemen, have a good afternoon. Enjoy the game. Stay safe. Don't drink too much. Don't eat too much. Hopefully, you'll take tomorrow off if you do.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Awesome. Have a good day, guys. See ya.
You
Yeah.
too.
Bye.
See everyone.
Bye. Good seeing everybody too.
Yeah.
It was good.